For a good 5 years, we've been waiting to see what Rocksteady have been hiding away and developing, and very surprisingly, it was of course the Suicide Squad. Now this reveal has come out after recent rumours regarding DC fandom and of course the still yet to be officially confirmed Batman game. People had found registered domains for a game titled The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which then was followed up further with confirmation this was Rocksteady's next game. Personally, I'm excited to see how this game will function and play, and of course the fact that it's being developed by Rocksteady, who created the Arkham series. It's one of my favourite game series to date. So if anyone can pull off this game, it can be Rocksteady. After they were the first ones to show us how you can actually make a fun and challenging Batman game after so many failures. So I think they could show us how to make a fun and challenging team-based game that centres around the Suicide Squad. Of course, nothing is known about this game. Rumours suggest this is going to be a service kind of game with co-op gameplay and single player. Sound familiar? Personally, I'm not a huge fan of service games, but if anyone could make me like them, it would be Rocksteady, of course. We are set to see some sort of trailer and a look at what the game is at DC Fandom on the 22nd of August, or the 23rd for me in Australia. I'd assume we're going to see a CGI teaser trailer or possibly a full-blown trailer detailing the game's story and a little bit of information on the gameplay. I doubt we're going to see an actual gameplay trailer or some kind of gameplay though, and just a proper reveal and some information about this game. The rumours and leaks have suggested that this game is actually set to release in fall next year, so I would assume we will see gameplay at E3 or some kind of gaming event like State of Play or what they're doing with the Summer of Gaming at the moment. One thing we do know is the leaked working title, however, The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Now this title is probably going to change, or it might not, we don't know, but it is the working title and it was confirmed by the artwork we saw yesterday. Oh, yesterday for me. We're going to see the Justice League front and center, with Superman most likely being the main antagonist for the game as suggested by the artwork. This means we could see some really amazing boss battles in this game, and most likely a focus on working as a team to take down each hero rather than just going on against them one-on-one. We know Rocksteady can make amazing boss fights like Mr. Freeze from Arkham City, but it's also something I've criticised Rocksteady on in the past, and it's their lack of diversity in their boss fights and how bland they can be at times, and how some can be pretty terrible, especially in Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight, because we had a lot of tank battles in Arkham Knight, which was probably the biggest criticism of that game, and Arkham Asylum was their first game, and a lot of those boss fights in that game were kind of boring and bland. Now, this game may very well actually be a continuation of the cancelled Suicide Squad game that was being developed by WB Montreal along with their own new Batman game, which is probably going to be revealed at DC Fandom as well. If anyone can remember, the Suicide Squad was actually teased at the end of Arkham Origins. Now, if this is kind of a restructuring and rebuilding of that game that was cancelled, it would make sense. This game was said to be extremely buggy and unplayable, so if it was handed off to Rocksteady for their next project after Arkham Knight, we may see a lot of what was rumoured in that game by WB Montreal in this one. It's also said that this Suicide Squad game is actually going to be set in the same universe as the rebooted Batman game. Now this is not 100% confirmed, but I think it's something that WB could actually do really well with if they make a shared universe of games and create a universe within these games and have them linked together. It allows for shared storytelling and showcases characters from other games as well. It also allows for assets from each game to be shared and allow for a lot more familiarity when playing these DC games. Now, the original Suicide Squad game by WB Montreal was said to be open world and have numerous characters who all control and play differently with their traversals. Characters like Deathstroke was said to play a lot like Batman from the Arkham series, but with guns and his own set of gadgets. Whilst other characters like Harley Quinn were a lot harder to traverse around the city, and it created a lot of issues with flow and pace of the game. It also allowed for a lot more bugs and errors in the code and how the game played. If this was a massive issue still for Rocksteady, especially with the open world factors, we may see only hub-like areas in this new Suicide Squad game, or maybe even just a completely linear game. But it could be open world, and we may only be able to traverse the world with certain characters if that's the case. But I know Rocksteady like a challenge, and they could really fix the traversal issue with each character, but we'll wait and see. They may also maybe try and aim for not a city setting, but still an open world setting. I don't know how that would work at all, but they probably most likely won't be setting the game in Gotham if it is open world, since the new Batman game is set to be a massive Gotham open world, so we'll wait and see though. A lot of the issues with the original game was the fact that the Suicide Squad was almost too unique for each character, and they just weren't similar enough to allow for a fluid and easy to control gameplay. So how Rocksteady solved this issue will be really interesting to see, and it's something again I think this development team could really nail and fix, like what they did with Batman in the Arkham series and his traversal and combat. The only issue so far I have with this game is that it may be a service game like Avengers. This means it could have a lot of looter shooter and RPG mechanics, and I think this game would simply just be amazing if it was a single player or co-op game. And I'm kind of repeating myself here from my previous video about Avengers, but I think this game could really benefit if it just focused on a story and open world exploration. However, this could very well be DC's answer to the Avengers game, which I get, but this genre of looter shooter RPGs is getting really old at this point and kind of overused, and we are seeing a lot of them. In theory though, this kind of thing does work for a game with such a diverse roster. It makes sense to be done as a service game since it would allow for easy co-op, great progression, and longevity for the game. I think though that my opinion of these service games, especially around teams like this, has kind of been soured with Avengers, since I think that game probably isn't going to do as well as it should, and it makes me think the same for the Suicide Squad game. However, these games could look completely different in how they play and what they feel like, so I'm trying to stay excited and keep an open mind for this game. However, this is unconfirmed, and it could very well just be a story-focused game with co-op for all we know, but this is yet to be confirmed, of course. Another exciting thing about this game is that we'll finally get to see so many DC heroes who have been absent from these kinds of games, other than just the fighting games like Injustice and Mortal Kombat. Whilst we most likely won't get to play as them, we will at least get to play against them, which is a step in the right direction and a step closer to see more DC heroes getting their own games other than just Batman. If this is going to be a shared universe of games, I would expect these heroes to get their own games after Batman from other WB studios. It's something I think the Arkham series could have profited off had it been open to having more characters in the Arkhamverse, and it would have been even better if it had a shared universe as well, and it would have maybe allowed for a few cameos from other heroes in those games. But we will most likely get to see what a shared universe of hero games will look like and how it'll play out and what WB plan to do with these games and how they'll link them together, how the stories will overlap and create a shared telling of stories all in this one universe. A lot of this is speculations and rumours though, and leaks that are coming from reputable sources and some not so reputable. But just remember, a lot of this stuff is unconfirmed, with only a few things we know about this game is that it's going to be a Suicide Squad game, it has the Justice League in it, and it's going to revolve around the Suicide Squad going up against the Justice League. However, I love the idea of this game, and Rocksteady are extremely talented devs who have had a massive impact on the superhero genre and the action-adventure genre. I think this game will do very well considering how good the new Suicide Squad movie looks, with James Gunn directing that, and his ability to just make some really fun, amazing movies like Guardians, and how that'll probably translate really well over into what that looks like with the cheesy campiness of the new Suicide Squad movie. This game will probably have a lot of features from that movie as well, and it'll probably have some alternate skins from the movie, so we'll wait and see. It seems that DC are really pushing the Suicide Squad in the mainstream media for some reason. I'm excited to see how this will all just work if it is a shared universe especially. Anyway, I've been Seth from Silver Soul Gaming. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more of this content. I always talk about the Batman game and the Rocksteady stuff, and now the Suicide Squad game, which will definitely be constantly in the back of my head because I really love Rocksteady, and we already knew they were doing a team-based game, and this is just amazing to see. You can check out everything Silver Soul Gaming in the description, our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, my Twitch, all that kind of stuff. I don't know when my next video will be and what it'll be on, but it'll be next week at least. And yeah, I'll see you guys then for another video. Bye-bye.